everybody, welcome to Crafty Anew. Today's video I'm bringing you two projects, and the first one I had so much fun making, and we're going to make a fall-time cloche. And we're going to be using these Dollartree cloches, only $1, and we only need one of these. I had so much fun making these, and they're kind of challenging because you got such a small space. It's almost like building those ships in a bottle type deal. And then I'm going to be using some wooden bees that I purchased from Amazon, and I'll put that link in the description box below. I'm also using this ribbon purchased from the Dollar Tree, and some Excelsior and some leaves. A dowel rod, and then I'm using some of these wood stem pieces, also from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm using two skewers, which I only ended up using one. So you'll only need one of these bamboo skewers. They're just the regular size skewer. And then I'm using apple barrel and harvest orange, and apple barrel and white. You're also going to need a furniture pan, which you can buy in a 3-pack from the Dollar Tree, and this is walnut. And this is a little fairy that my mom has given me, and it's very meaningful to me, so I'm going to use it in my cloche so I can have a place to put it. I've never figured out a good place to put it, and so it's been in storage, and now hopefully I get to show off this beautiful fairy. And you're also going to need 2 cups because we're just going to use my how I paint beads, my technique using the cups, which I'll link in the iCard above so you can watch that video. But I'm just picking out different size beads. I think I ended up using 10 of these, and I just put different sizes in this cup. And then you're going to put just a little dab of this harvest orange in there. You don't need much. You can see I didn't put much at all in there. And then we're just going to swirl those beads around in that orange paint. This gives it a really nice coat of paint. Plus, there is some imperfections, which is great because, you know, these are going to be mini pumpkins, and pumpkins aren't perfect. And then we're just going to dump those out and let them dry. And now I'm just going to peel the sticker off the cloche. I'm going to take some of that pumpkin ribbon and I'm going to cut it to measure the circumference of this circle, and we're just going to glue that on. Now what I did is I took a couple leaves and I cut them off this leaf pick that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and that's going to be my background of the cloche. So I'm just going to kind of glue them down to the round part of the cloche. And I'm just taking 2 red and a yellow, and this is going to be my background. And if you bend the bottom, the end of them, and glue them down, they stand up. Now I'm taking a piece of dowel rod, and I'm going to make a corn shock using the Excelsior. So the easiest way I found to do this, because this was not an easy process, I just slathered hot glue all over my dowel rod, and I just basically junked all that Excelsior on there. Rolled it around in the Excelsior, put more glue, put more Excelsior on there until I got the shape of a corn shock that I wanted. Then once I got the shape of my corn shock, I'm going to take this pit berry and I'm going to wrap it around to hold it together and to kind of make it look a little more fall. So I'm just decorating my corn shock. And we're going to give it a little trim. Then once we have the corn shock decorated, we are going to hot glue it onto the platform of the cloche. And there's what we should have so far after everything's hot glued down. And don't worry about the little bit of the excelsior that's coming out because that's what we want. Now I'm taking those bamboo skewers and I'm painting them with the walnut marker because these are going to be the stems of my pumpkins. So once I have that painted, then I'm going to take one of my orange beads that we painted and we're just going to put it in the hole of the bead, and that's going to be the stem of our pumpkin. And then here I'm just measuring it out and cutting it off the skewer. I found no easy way of doing this either, and eventually I ended up just cutting the skewer into little bitty pieces and putting it through the holes of the beads. Then once I have all of those painted orange, I decided I wanted some lighter color pumpkins in there, so I went over them with some white and then went back over it with orange to kind of get like a peachy coral color, because I wanted some different shades of pumpkins in here. I didn't want them to be all orange. And then now I'm just gluing the fairy down in place where I want her. I want her right beside the corn shock. And then I'm going to hot glue a pumpkin into her little basket. And now we're just going to find, I want like a little stump in there also to kind of add to the woodland feature. So I'm finding a stump that fits, and we're going to hot glue the stump down also onto the platform. And once we have that hot glued to the platform, we're going to hot glue all of our pumpkins around. And we're just going to kind of scatter them around the fairy. So if you're ever looking for small pumpkins, the beads and using skewer sticks are the best for smaller pumpkins like this. Plus you can make these into a bunch of fillers too if you wanted to. And I'm not gluing them in any particular order, I'm just kind of scattering them around the platform. But you want to avoid the area where the dome's going to snap into the platform. And then I'm going to put a couple pumpkins up on that little tree stump we put in there. Now I'm just adding a little more excelsior in some of the bare spots because I didn't want so much of the brown showing. And there's what we should have. I love this. It turned out so cute. And it was kind of challenging, which I also enjoyed. Now here's the challenging part, trying to get the dome back on with trying to push the leaves up. You just have to go at it slow. And there it is. All pretty, my pretty little cloche. And it's got my mama's little fairy in it, which I was so happy to be able to find a place for her. Now for our next project, I'm going to use 4 of these Lays Stax containers. Yes, I have some teenage boys in the house that love these things. And we're just going to peel the labels off of them. And to do that, I mean, they come right off. There's the edge there where it has some hot glue I just used my heating tool to pull it off, and then I cleaned off the glue. You're going to do this to all 4 of them. Then once we have all the labels off, we are going to go in with paint. And the paints we're using today is this Waverly Chalk Paint in Crimson, Apple Barrel Paint in Harvest Orange, Folk Art Paint in Nautical Blue, and Apple Barrel Paint in King's Gold. And we're just going to paint each one of these containers in a different color. So I'm going to start out with the King's Gold. Now these, since they were plastic, I would recommend, because I had a hard time getting these painted, I would recommend going over each one of these with a coat of Mod Podge first and then painting them, because I ended up having to do 4 coats on each one of these. So you might save some paint if you use some Mod Podge. So yeah, each one of these took about 4 coats of paint. Now once we have all 4 coats of paint put on these, I'm going to take some of my elephant gray and I'm going to make these look like rusted metal cans. So I'm just going to dry brush this gray over the color. And you can see it's going to kind of give it that metal rusted paint chip can look that I was going for. That's why I used the Lays Stax cans, because I like the ridges in them. And it kind of looked like an aluminum can to me. You can also cut these down if you don't want them so tall, but I actually like the height because I'm going to put it in a window seal, and I thought these turned out so beautiful. I love the height of these. And you can see there, that's where it looks like, I mean, to me it looks like it's a metal. And we're going to do this to all of them. Then once those are dry, I used my Cricut and I printed out the word fall. And since they're all separate letters, I'm just going to peel them off like a sticker. I didn't feel like messing with the transfer tape. And we're just going to stick those on the can. And there it is with the letters and everything painted. Now once we have the letters on, I'm going to go back over the letters with my elephant gray, because it didn't look like, to me, it was too white, and didn't look like it was an actual part of the can that I'm trying to make. So I'm just going to dry brush over those with some more of my elephant gray. Now if you had some different color letters, you could probably skip this step. I didn't realize the white was going to be so bright white once I got them on there. And I still didn't have the look I was going for with the letters, so what I decided to do is paint each letter of the can a corresponding color from another can. So on the yellow F, I painted it orange, and I ended up having to give this 3 coats to get the look I was going for. And then on the red can, I used the blue for the letter. And on the orange can, I used the yellow, and on the blue, I used the red. And at first, I didn't think I really liked it, but after I got it all put together, I loved it. I'm so glad I painted the letters. And then I just went over each one of them with a thing of Mod Podge. And then once the Mod Podge dried, I took this burlap ribbon and I measured it underneath the lip of each chip can, and I hot glued it in the back. And then I used this pip berry to go around the ribbon. And I just hot glued that down in the back. And I did this to all 4 cans. And then there's what it should look like when everything's painted and all the ribbons on. And now I decided it was missing something at the top, so I just made my little bows, wrap it around my fingers 15 times, cut it off, and then use another piece of twine to tie it together. And it's just an easy little jute twine bow. And I'm going to do this 4 times. And we're going to glue it to the top of each can. And then we're just going to take some of these florals I purchased from the Dollar Tree, these sunflowers, and put them in some foam. And just start making your flower arrangements. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and explain to you how I did it. I just did it till my eyes were pretty, or till my eyes were happy. But anyway, you get my point. Just throw some flowers in there, make your arrangement how you want. I was going to use those sunflowers over to the side there, those orange ones, but I decided not to do that, and I went with all yellow. So then this little thing from the Dollar Tree, I didn't like how they do the head, like on the bottom of the broom. So I just pulled that off and turned it around and glued it to the top where the broom's actually frayed out. And I put it in my last can, the blue one with the L, and there's what you have. I thought these turned out so perfect. I was so nervous about painting the letters, but I love the way these look like the old rusted tin, the colored tins, and it gives it just like that rustic farmhouse look. And then my little cloche there in the middle. I just loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed this too. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.